Good morning, gentle listeners of the South Coast. I hope that you all survived the rains we had the past weekend, and that we could have some sunshine and enjoy some sunshine. And speaking of sunshine, how about getting some sunshine into our hearts and souls and into our beings? We had a request from Michelle to talk about stress and mental health. And gosh, what an excellent suggestion that is. Because in today's challenging life, challenging world, we are constantly under stress, under pressure with crime situations, political situations, potholes, financial stress, kids, and just life's demands on us. So it's a wonderful idea to chat a little bit about that. And perhaps we'll stretch it over 2 weeks. We'll see how we go. So the first thing I want you to think about is good stress and bad stress. So good stress, good anxiety is the kind that has a shelf life. And bad stress is the kind that doesn't. So for example, if I'm writing an exam in 2 weeks' time, I could be very stressed and anxious about it and wonder about whether my preparation has been adequate, etc., etc. But on the day, once I have finished my exam, put the pen down, it's all gone. It's all over. And perhaps nearer the time when results will be made available, I may or may not become stressed again. That is normal. We do have situations in life that cause us some discomfort, which is not always necessary, but nonetheless. And as I say, they have a shelf life. Once the situation has been dealt with, the deadline has been met, then we go back to what we call homeostasis. The bad stress is that constant underlying feeling of stress, of anxiety, of things being out of control, of not knowing how to cope. And that is which does the real damage. So if we compare that to an animal, let's say a buck is grazing in the veld, it's loving life, the sun's shining, the grass is green, and all of a sudden he sees a lion behind a tree getting ready to pounce. The buck immediately is stressed, it goes into fight or flight mode. Being a flight animal, it'll escape and, go over the next hill. And once it feels safe, it can exhale. It goes back into homeostasis. It starts grazing again and enjoying the day, the sunshine and the grass. And that is what I equate the exam situation to. So you are getting on with life. As the exam gets closer, you get more anxious, you're stressed about it. But once you've written the exam, you go back to feeling quite comfortable with where you are. Now, of course, we can say the exam caused the stress, your boss caused the stress, this caused the stress, the kids. That is not the issue. Those things exist for all of us. There are stresses and pressures in everybody's life, believe it or not. Even the people you think don't have any issues in the world, they do. But what makes it a problem is our thinking about it. Our thoughts that get anxious and then causes the body to react in a very specific way. So Dr. Joe Dispenza, in his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which is a very good read, he explains it so nicely. He says your thoughts create your feelings, and those feelings inform your behavior. So thoughts, feelings, and behavior creates your personality, and your personality creates your personal reality. So let's say I am quite a cynical person, I'm a negative person, I'm always expecting the worst, I always prepare for the worst. That creates my personality. And then my personal reality will be one of somebody who is negative, somebody who never sees the upside, somebody who anticipates the worst from life all the time. And people will describe me as Lee, such a negative person. Lee never sees the upside. So that becomes my reality and my personality. Or we can flip it around and say, Lee's always bubbly, she's always positive, and she's always expecting the best. And if it doesn't work out, gosh, she just thinks there must be then a better way of doing things. And then my personality would be described as Lee is sunny, she's positive, she's bubbly. And my personal reality will be one of optimism, of whatever happens, I'll be okay, and I'll just soldier on and things will be fine. It all started with my thinking. So if you want to change your personal reality, you have to change your personality, and that means you have to start by changing your thoughts. How do I think about something? So if I had a fender bender down, popping out to the shop this morning, I can be totally stressed about it, and the stupid driver didn't look where he or she were going, and now they've knocked into me, and now my car's got a ding, and I've got to take it to the panel beaters, and. That is my choice. Or I could say, oh, never mind, it's just a little ding. It can be sorted out. It is not the end of the world. Nobody seriously injured. Nobody lost their lives. And it is just one of those speed bumps in the road. Those are the kind of thoughts that causes us to be either stressed people or not stressed people. Now, I need to just explain a little bit more about how the brain works. Our brain forms neurological pathways. There are synapses in the brain which form these pathways, and they say the synapses that fire together wire together. So if you have thought the same thought for a number of weeks or even longer, that becomes an established neurological pathway, which means your brain automatically goes down that road. It is, and it serves a very good purpose. When we first learned to walk, we had to think about it, find your balance, fine-tune left foot, right foot, etc., 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 till we mastered it, and now we can walk without thinking about it. The same goes for brushing your teeth. The same goes for going to your local corner cafe. You can get in your car and get there, and you probably don't really know how you got there. It was so automatic. Because that has become a neurological and established neurological pathway. Now, if on one happy day you decide you want to take a different route to the shop, you have to consciously think, okay, I'll turn right here and I'll carry on for a kilometer, and then I'm going to turn left, and then I think I'll drive around the local nursery and make my way back to the shop. But you consciously had to choose new thoughts, new behaviors. And this is what we have to do when we want to combat those thoughts that causes us stress. Because remember, the brain automatically goes to that thought that you have been thinking. So if you always think, Fred is such a difficult person, and he's always aggressive, and he's always on my case, and I have a meeting with him next week, and you're getting all stressed about it, that is just the way your mind's going to work, and your body will respond. So we have to change that. I just want to change tack a little bit here and say, what are the effects of this constant stress? Well, our bodies and minds are intertwined. If I think negative thoughts, if I'm stressed, my body reacts. It affects your heart. We know stress affects the heart. It affects the respiratory system. It affects your digestive system. You have ulcers, constant heartburn, and it can cause depression. And that then leads to other issues, which is how we relate in our relationships. You may develop a short fuse. You may fly off the handle when it's unnecessary and overreact, or you may just stay in bed and withdraw, or you may just plop on the couch and watch TV, and in that way escape from those uncomfortable feelings. So being stressed has a huge effect on your mental and physical health. The other thing that I want to pull in here with our health and mental health is I listened to a wonderful interview with Professor Francois Durand, who explained the intricacies and the very complex and vital role our intestines play, and all the bacteria in our intestines. And apparently we've got more bacteria in our intestines than we have in our whole bodies. So, and when we're stressed, it affects our digestive system, which means it irritates the intestines. But also when we're stressed, what do? We go and get a nice slice of cake to eat, or a biscuit, or we reach for a cigarette, or we have a glass of wine as soon as we come home. Those things negatively affect the bacteria in the intestines, which means it affects our mood. Why does it affect our mood? Because serotonin and dopamine, up to 80% of serotonin and 50% of dopamine is actually produced in the intestines. So if those hormones are not produced effectively and efficiently, then it affects our happiness. We know the happiness hormone, the natural happiness drug is our dopamine and serotonin. So again, all these things, your thought, which creates a feeling, you're stressed, which creates a behavior. I'm going to have a cigarette, I'm going to have a glass of wine, I'm going to reach for something sweet, I'm going to watch TV. All those things have a huge negative effect on, as I say, your physical and mental or psychological health. So we know what causes our stress. We all have a pretty good idea, or ought to have. What do we do about it? So for starters, as I say, make different lifestyle choices. So if your eating habits are not great, then start eating healthy. Start becoming conscious, of what you are putting in your body. It has a very real effect on your mental and, of course, physical health. Secondly is get active. Walk, run, swim, go to gym, go to line dancing, do whatever you can to the degree that you can to get out and get active. The physical and psychological benefits of exercise and activity is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now you can say, well, I've never been one for exercise and I've never really enjoyed it, etc. And that is again your choice to think about it like that. But just like gravity is real, whether you believe in gravity or not, if you let go of the glass, it's going to shatter on the floor. You can attribute it to whatever you like, but the end result is the same, which is a shattered glass. So you can attribute your bad habits to whatever you like, but the end result is going to be an unhealthy body and unhealthy mind. So get off the couch, go outdoors, go and exercise, go and garden. That is rewarding, creative, and exercise. Journal. I spoke about journaling last week, and again, this is a wonderful way to process what's happening in your life, what's happening in your internal world, and put it out there. Your journal can also be a kind of a stress diary, or you can have a different stress diary where you note during the course of the day or at the end of the day what you were stressed about that day. And you can rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 if you want a bit more of a choice of a variety. And you can say something like, well, today I had my meeting with Fred and I was very stressed about it, and you can describe your emotions and say, I give it a rating of 4, 4.5. And over a week, 2 weeks, a month, you could probably find patterns and say, well, every time I know I'm going to bump into Fred, I get very anxious and stressed. Or every Monday, I'm very stressed. And every Friday, gosh, I'm not so stressed. Or whatever the case is. So you can then start identifying, and then you can start putting things in place to combat, to counter that stress for that particular stressor. Of course, it's difficult for me to cover every possible stressor here and what you could do about it. I suggest you contact me or any other professional for that. But so keep a stress diary, journal, and then lastly, meditate. Meditation is and has been proven to be incredibly useful for stress and anxiety and depression. Learn to meditate. It is not rocket science, and you don't have to go and sit on a mountaintop. It's about getting quiet. It's about quietening your mind and just thinking about one pleasant thing, or listening to the ticking of the clock, or there are so many guided meditations you can download from the various apps that will actually talk you through it, which is a wonderful way to get started if you've never done it and you're not sure how to go about it. And of course, lastly is get help. You need to not leave it till you are so sick mentally and or physically that it is a bigger problem than what it need have been. So, but again, as I say, it all starts with becoming aware of your automatic thought patterns and starting deliberately and intentionally creating new neurological pathways. And of course, yes, it takes effort, just like anything else in life. My son always says, if you want it badly enough, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. So if you want to feel happy and healthy mentally, physically, if you want to be alert, if you want to get the full enjoyment out of life and get rid of the stress, then you have to make the effort to look after yourself. You have to invest in yourself. And the rewards for doing that are huge. So stress is caused by different things for different people. I'm talking about the bad stress here. The process is generally always the same. What am I thinking? How am I thinking about it? As I say, two people can have the exact same experience. One will say, well, it was just a fender bender, not serious, we'll sort it out. The other one will be in a right state and for the rest of the day or the week or however long be in an absolute stress ball because of the fender bender. So how do we explain that two people have the exact same experience but react so differently to it? And that is because of the thinking they choose to have about a particular situation or occurrence. If you need help with finding new ways to think about things in your life, get the help. But the go-to things are things like become aware, deliberately change it. It takes time because, again, habits are hard to break. If you have a biscuit with your 11 o'clock tea and you've done that for the past year, my goodness, let that tea arrive and there's no biscuit in the saucer or on your desk. It really is not pleasant. And you go hunting high and low and want to know why your biscuit hasn't been there. The biscuit is not necessary. The biscuit is not life-affirming. It's just a habit. And so if you don't have that biscuit for 2 or 3 weeks, you won't even miss it. You'll think, I can't believe I had that biscuit, or I can't believe I used to have 4 teaspoons of sugar in my tea or coffee. And it's the same with your thinking. Once you've stuck to it, once a new neurological pathway is followed, you'll say, gosh, I can't believe I stressed about that. It really isn't that important. For things that are really important, that are causing major issues in your life, please see a professional person, get another perspective, get the help and support you need. But as I say, ask yourself daily, what was I thinking about? How did that make me feel? And how did those thoughts and feelings influence and inform my behavior or my reactions? And I want to again just stress here that we are not victims. We are creators. And there you have to ask, do I want to live in survival mode constantly, or do I want to become a creator of my life and of my outcomes? And you can only become a creator if you choose to start creating. Otherwise, you will forever remain in survival mode and reacting to the stresses and to the circumstances and events of life, when there is actually a better way of dealing with it. So Michelle and others, I know stress is a huge problem. It's real. It causes very, very real physical and mental health issues in our day and age. And certainly there are very practical things you can do, and start doing them today to start becoming a creator of your outcomes. But they are going to require an effort from you. There is no tablet that can take it. Yes, you can take anti-anxiety medication, and it will help for those psychological conditions that are prescribed for. But there is a healthier way for you to deal with things that happen and will keep on happening in life. So become aware of where your focus is, what your thoughts are, because where your focus is, your energy follows. The focus goes, the energy flows. And your energy will be put into the things that you are stressing about, if that's what your focus is on. I hope that was helpful. If there is more you'd like to know about this subject or any other subject, please drop me a line or Ryan, and we will definitely make that happen for you. But as I say, so much of this, not all of it, and I don't want to take away from the real value of seeing a psychologist or your GP to get an anti-anxiety medication. But we cannot medicate everything. With the medication, particularly anti-anxiety medication, there's a little dulling of the senses, a dulling of the emotions. And that is also, again, not a good thing. It serves a very real purpose. But if you can just form new habits, better ways of thinking about things, isn't that the answer? And with, as I say, some determination and perseverance, this can be done. So please, gentle people of the South Coast, look after your body and look after your mind. They are intertwined. Didn't mean for that to rhyme. But if the body's ill, the mind will be unhappy. If the mind is ill, the body will be unhappy. They react and respond to one another. So we have to look at them both and make sure we keep ourselves in the best possible health so we can enjoy life. Do give us some feedback if you want to get hold of me. I am on 082 330 2439, or you can get hold of Ryan. He can get hold of me, or you can give him your suggestions for topics that you would like a bit more information on. But take responsibility for your health, make better life choices, and make better thinking habits. Have a wonderful day.
The radio station you can't live without. This is your radio.
This is South Coast Radio.